Well, I'm currently on tour in the USA, where one of the issues that is dominating the news is the border crisis. What is happening down on the Mexican border? About 1,000 people a day coming through that border, and it's a subject of huge national debate. Now, those that have followed me will know that this time last year, in fact, just before this time last year, I started going out into the English Channel to expose our own border crisis. And I did it because mainstream media were not covering the subject. You see, in 2018, by mid-May, 7 people had illegally crossed the English Channel by boat. In 2019, that figure was around about 450. But when I went out last year to expose this story, well, by this time last year, 1,300 people had crossed the channel. As a result of me going out there and lots of you watching this and passing it on to your friends, we actually got mainstream media to cover the story. Well, I bet you don't know what's going on in the English Channel right now, because mainstream media are not covering this at all. Let me tell you that to date, the number that have come illegally across the English Channel, at least the number we know of, is now approaching 3,000. I said this time last year that 5,000 people might come throughout 2020. I was wrong, completely wrong. The figure was 8,500. And I'm telling you, on the current projections this year, it is going to be 20,000 people. Now, you might see the odd picture in the Daily Mail or elsewhere of a 5 or 6 year old child that comes across, but be in no doubt, 85% of those that come are young men. We've noticed this year a much larger number of Vietnamese people coming, but basically, we haven't got a clue who these people are. I also covered last year where they were going. Hotels being filled up all over the country. Well, the government have now run out of hotels to put people in, so they're turning to private accommodation. I even learned today that my home village of Down, where I was born and raised and where I still live, very close by, I've even heard today that in the name of social housing, we will have illegal immigrants put into our village. This is spreading throughout the entire country. It is costing a fortune. It poses a national security risk, given that we don't know whether some of these that are coming were perhaps fighting for ISIS a couple of years ago. We just simply don't know. What's the response to all of this? Well, every time I raise this issue, Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, comes out with a big, tough statement about what we're going to do, and the Queen's speech a couple of days ago was no exception to that rule. We're now told that anybody that comes into the UK through a safe country will not be able to claim refugee status. Fine. But what she hasn't said is what will happen to them. Will they be returned back to France from whence they came? We have no agreement with the French to do so. And what it means is nothing is going to change whatsoever. This crisis will continue. The upset to communities where all these people are put will continue. And I'm afraid 2021 is going to get a lot worse. So this is my first attempt to flag what is really going on this year. Have a look at some of this footage. And the extraordinary thing was this morning, there were beach landings taking place, boats coming all the way through, landing on the shore at Dungeness in Kent, and yet anchored up 2 miles away was a Royal Naval vessel that appeared to be totally unconcerned with what I think, in terms of numbers, amounts to an invasion. No, they're far too busy boarding British fishing boats to make sure the scallops they're keeping are the right size. We've got our priorities completely and utterly wrong on this. There are things that Boris's government have got right. I like some of the things in the Queen's speech. I'm pleased that we've got Brexit done, even if the deal is imperfect. But we continue to be humiliated on our borders, and I genuinely think, I really do genuinely think, that there is a conspiracy of silence amongst our broadcasters who don't wish this issue to even be discussed. What I will promise you is when I am back in the UK from this tour of the US, I'll be back out in the English Channel on a boat, and I'll get some footage, and I'll make sure mainstream media have to wake up to what's going on.